was email. There was maybe just email when I started med school. So it's a different world. Different world.
But I'm still going to push on the fact that the intelligence gained, and I'm guessing the problem solving skills that you learn and on the job, they do apply to everything in life.
Yeah. Well, look at it. We got this. When I got here, you only had one camera set up and you were wondering if this was possible. And within 5 minutes, we got it going. We are streaming live. We are substacking. We're doing it.
So what it sounds like you're saying is that I am smart.
You're smart.
I am a smart boy.
I think you're okay. I think you're okay.
It is great to talk to you. It's great to have you back.
Yeah,
Thank you for everybody joining us here live. And hopefully, if there's any technical issues, I will be looking in comments and stuff, and you can tell me. But either way, recording this for the show, and always great to have Rob joining us because there's plenty to talk about. I think the first thing I wanted to ask you about is the CDC changed guidance on their website, which creates, at least sows a lot of doubt for a connection specifically between autism and vaccines. I don't have it right in front of me. You obviously know what I'm talking about, but the outrage I think from physicians yesterday when that was announced or found out that I guess they did that quietly. What do you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing when Trump's up there spouting ridiculousness. I mean, this is the guy who talked about bringing light into the body and injecting bleach during COVID. So we expect that, right? We even expect it from RK Jr. because the worm is likely driving the ship there. But when the official website of the CDC, like now tells us that, there's no evidence to say that autism is not caused by vaccines, and they're doing further research when there's been research. There's been so much research. There's been decades and decades of research, and there has not been a causal link ever found between vaccines and autism. And so it does a few things, right? It scares some parents away from getting their kids vaccinated. So now they're going to be at risk of getting deadly meningitis, right? Polio could make a comeback. I mean, we've seen measles outbreaks, right? Kids getting sick with measles. And the other thing it does is it takes parents who did the right thing to protect their kids from deadly illness, who ended up being diagnosed with autism or somewhere on the spectrum. And it creates such a sense of guilt in people that isn't founded, right? It's not real. It shouldn't happen. But these people feel like I did something wrong, just like Tylenol, like all the other crap they spew. There's not a bunch of innocent bystanders. There's real people getting hurt by this on both sides.
On all sides, and humanity in the country. I mean,
on both sides. Like before you get vaccinated, or the people who decided to get their kids vaccinated and now are struggling. Like, why did I do that? Did I do the wrong thing? Did I do something wrong? I mean, I see that all the time. Women who have miscarriages, or people who have, just untoward outcomes, things that happen, and they went, did I do something? Did I cause this? And it's like, of course you didn't cause this, right? You didn't do this. And this guy's trying to make people think they did, and trying to scare people away from doing what we know is right. It's sad. You're right. People are enraged. People are pissed off. It just, I don't know. It gives me fuel to the fire to get these guys out of there, because they're wrecking things for us all.
Yeah, which is why I'm always glad to have you here, and that you're constantly speaking out. And everybody should go support the Committee to Protect Healthcare and follow Rob on Substack if you're watching there, or wherever you're watching live. You should follow him because he is not. I mean, I keep talking about how we know where people's credibility lies. How we know who are we supposed to trust? I like to think I've built a career out of getting credible guests who have great reputations on the show to learn from. That's the whole premise of my show, which is why you're here. And the credibility you got from me happened in about 2 minutes when I watched you confronting Mike Pence in a diner in was it Indiana or Michigan, when he was, I think, campaigning for president. That clip went viral. If anybody wants to know more about Rob, go Google that video, and maybe I'll just share it here at the end or something, because it's always worth it. But getting back to just trust in the healthcare system is a real and fair issue. Let's though talk about trust with physicians for just a moment before we get on to the latest debacle happening in healthcare. But when you so often, I've heard everybody from my father to anybody else complaining about doctors in the worst kinds of ways. If it wasn't for that doctor, my mother would still be alive. That doctor prescribed this. That doctor botched the surgery. It's so easy to be critical of physicians specifically. And then it comes to asking for their advice on treatments. One of the issues that people have that I want you to address is, doctors, They don't trust doctors because they think doctors are making some money on the back end or throughout the system some way.
Mm.
Obviously, a lot of physicians make a lot of money, but my pediatrician friends really hate RFK because not only is he misinforming the public about actual proven treatments, he's also saying scapegoating pediatricians who don't make a lot of money and saying that
Right.
they make a lot of money off of the vaccines as well
Oh my
as
God.
off of any other drug that they
Right.
apparently get the back end on. How do you want to answer that question about physicians, trust in physicians, and how we should find it, how we should rate it?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the data out there and you just talk to people anecdotally, people do trust their physicians, right? And overall, physicians are trusted voices when we're talking about issues around healthcare, around public health. I think the idea, and I heard this during the pandemic, right, for people who are anti-vax, anti-COVID vaccines, and you see it now when, boy, anytime you get anything on X, particularly X, that goes maybe a little viral, that you're criticizing RFK Jr. on things he said. You get all the trolls coming out and accusing you of being a pharma shill. I mean, I've been told that so many times how
Yeah.
much money I'm getting. We don't get a dime from getting people vaccinated, right? Like it in the doctor's office, it happens in your visit, right? That's part of. I don't know what a pediatrician makes for a routine well child visit. They're not getting rich off of that, right? Pediatricians, again, they do fine. I will never sit and cry and moan about the amount of money doctors make. Doctors do fine. That's not what any of us are out there gunning for. Some of them might be. Those seem to be the folks out there pushing for, getting rid of kind of the public parts of insurance, Medicare, Medicaid, and just having everyone pay cash. And I don't align myself with that crowd at all. I think the vast majority of people I know that went into this job, put in what 8 years of school, 3 to 5 years of residency, kind of take on loans. My wife has a new partner, just started with her in primary care, has a $500,000 in loans starting out her career, and she loves what she does. Like she's not, it's not whining about it or anything like that. But when we get told like we're getting these money kickbacks, I was told I got $17,000 to diagnose COVID on a COVID patient. And I mean, those COVID shifts, man, when they was hitting hard, was some of the most stressful, truly depressing stuff any of us have ever seen. Some of the sickest people we've ever seen. Some people we just couldn't get back, couldn't save because that virus just like wreaked havoc on them. And like you go home, you can't sleep at night, right? You think about these folks. Like you said with with your dad, and I don't know if that was, a true story or
Yeah,
anecdote, but
no,
like
my dad,
things
I don't,
happen.
yeah, I don't think my dad would be shy
Yeah,
and telling you about his view on
yeah,
doctors who took care of
yeah.
him, or his mom, or yeah, his dad too. Yeah,
I mean, things happen, right?
sure.
Doctors are also human, right? And either mistakes or just like bad outcomes when you're dealing with very complex diseases and very sick people. Sometimes bad things happen, but like I will tell you, I know. I mean, for myself, for the person I've been married to for 30 some years, who's a doc, when something bad does happen. Like you carry that with you, man. I was just walking through a hospital I worked in for 20 some odd years, and I walked by even through the old emergency department, a room that I remember a patient in particular from about 15 years ago, and it was a bad outcome, and it just stays with you kind of forever, I would assume. And so I just want people to understand, like, I know the vast majority of docs out there are doing our best. We're using the data, the evidence that we know that we have, that we previously trusted the CDC to bring us, and to see that the kind of a slap in the face of them putting up this absolute garbage about vaccines and autism, and like just undermining the work we're doing. It's a guy like Kennedy, like sowing that distrust with doctors, somehow saying pediatricians are out there getting money, getting kickbacks. I mean, that, in addition to hurting patients, that's another layer of reasons why so many of us are pissed off at this guy.
In addition to that,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, obviously every day. It's
Mm.
what's the conversation like? I mean, are there divisions amongst physicians and healthcare experts about, I'm sure about all kinds of things from treatment to, but I
Right.
mean, about these big, larger arc stories, certainly when it comes to insurance, which we can get to. Are there a lot of like arguments at this point in time about RFK and what HHS is doing?
I tell you what, like amongst the people that I see, the docs that I see, the hospitals I've met to, the surgeons, the OBGYNs, my fellow ER docs, fellow primary care docs that I talk to, like we talk about this stuff. I've not found a single person that says, boy, that RK, he's doing a hell of a job. Right. So I believe, like, I see him online, I see him on Twitter, I see Simone Gold and America's Frontline Doctors. Please do not go search that. It is scary and you don't want to see it. But I'm on their email list because I do want to see what they're talking about. And it's like, this is a lady who got arrested on January 6th, spent a month in jail because she went into the Capitol on January 6th, and she's a doc who lost her license and is out there pushing online pharmacies selling hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin that don't work for COVID, right? And pushing anti-vax conspiracies and supporting RFK Jr. So like, they are out there. I just don't know that they're like real doctors doing real medicine that we should be kind of thinking about or talking to. I certainly don't think what they're talking about is appropriate, and I don't think we should trust them. None of the docs that I see in the real world, just taking care of people in my community, have any controversy about RFK Jr. He is bad for medicine, bad for patients, bad for this country.
There's a whole world of doctor influencers that are also grifters, right?
Ooh. Wow, it's always that. It always comes down to somebody has a online telehealth thing where they'll let you log on for $80, right? And then they'll route you to the online pharmacy where you can get your ivermectin for $100. I mean, there's always that. It's really troubling, right? Like,
if anybody, I'm sure that some journalist or other has done some kind of deep dive on exposing those types of people that can give us a better understanding so that we can spot them. And if it's not hard for us to share with our friends and neighbors and family members, because it wouldn't seem to be a hard endeavor to make if you're, a ProPublica or even a New York Times.
Yeah, it's out there. Like, the data's out there. I mean, there's lots of information on Casey Means, who's the doc who quit her residency, and now they want her to be the Surgeon General. She's made, I think, in 2 years ago, she made $24 million off of wearable blood sugar monitors for basically for non-diabetics, right? If you're a diabetic, yes, check your blood sugar, take your medicine. If you're not a diabetic, like, eat a healthy diet and go see your doctor once a year and get your sugar checked, and you're fine. And they're making millions off this stuff, right? Wellness, the wellness community, it's really sad because we all want wellness. We all want people to get outside, touch grass, walk around the block, eat healthy food, and we can all get in line with that. We don't want people buying $23 million worth of things they don't need from a grifter like her.
It's one thing to buy something you don't need. It's another thing to buy something you don't need that's actually dangerous or damaging. Or we've seen that throughout human history. We've seen selling those types of magic bullets and so on. But give me one real quick, and when we'll get into the healthcare issue, that you think is just nonsense. Like I don't know. I see all these things that, especially the things that are, I was gonna say they're sold like to a lot of the Navy SEAL type guys, selling them to men, and this makes you more alpha.
Yeah.
Women are just as much out there selling all kinds of crazy shit that they say gives them that body or that skin or that hair, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
What do you like to make fun of, or what do you say? Like, how about this? Do you have any thoughts on the ice plunge? Those ice plunges? I don't need to do those, do I? Do I need to do that?
I don't think you need to do them, but I've done one, right, when I was at a whole spotlight thing. No,
Did you
but
quit
it kind of is.
smoking?
No, it wakes you up. No, I quit smoking in 8th grade after I smoked 1 pack of cigarettes in a week. That was it. That was it. I admit it.
By the way, what kind of a binge? Dr. Rob Davidson went on a 1 week nicotine binge in the 8th grade. Okay, you pick one then. I just said ice plunge.
Yeah, I would tell you the dangerous one, and it isn't a product. Well, it is. It was Dr. Oz before he became the head of CMS, right? Running Medicare, Medicaid. He was pushing Medicare Advantage plans, privatized Medicare insurance plan, making money off of selling those plans, pushing them on his show. And now he's the guy supposedly in charge of Medicare, Medicaid, and kind of guarding the public trust, right? Those funds we feed into to protect poor people, to protect elderly people. Like a grift, and then the grifter, I guess the fox guarding the hen house is kind of a classic example.
Let's talk about the proposal right now for replacing the Affordable Care Act subsidies, I guess specifically is what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I mean, it does seem like no matter what we have tried to do and accomplish to reform healthcare in America, we haven't really gotten to the root of the problem, which my understanding is the cost of care.
Yeah.
The overall cost of care. It's not just the insurance companies or the pharmaceutical companies or even the private public partnerships that our government creates. And you can look at this at other countries, is my understanding. I had a long conversation with my friend, Dr. Aaron Carroll, about this the other day. And he was really, of course, focused on the costs of care. We're talking healthcare. You're talking access. Access. Can you get healthcare? Quality. Is it any good? And of course, cost or affordability. Those are the three legs of the stool, I'm told. That's what I'm told. What is being proposed right now by Republicans, they never have any good ideas. Just a lot of red herrings, it would seem, in my opinion, but is to replace the Affordable Care Act subsidies. And the way that Gasolini is proposing it himself is, I'm going to get rid of the insurance companies who are just taking your money. We're going to give you money, and then you can send it to the insurance company you want. And I'm like, hold on, that's Obamacare. That's what it is. It's subsidies that give you insurance, that give you money to then go on a market that they created to buy insurance. It's almost like he's suggesting we replace Obamacare with Obamacare. You're still the insurance companies. So I'm kind of confused on what they're even floating to replace these subsidies with. Explain it to me.
Well, I mean, he said in 2017, who knew healthcare could be so complicated? So I honestly think he doesn't understand how the subsidies work. So, I mean, what we're talking about right now is in less than 6 weeks, you're going to have millions of Americans fall off a cliff of affordability and not be able to buy insurance because they get tax credits that help subsidize them buying insurance. And if they don't get that, their insurance is going to go up double, triple in some cases. And people are just going to not do it, right? So they're gonna be out of insurance. We'll be back to the wild west of the old days. So Trump was just saying, well, let's take that money. Let's not give you insurance. We'll give it to people. They can buy their insurance. You're right. You just made the person a conduit to give the money to the same insurance per the Trump plan, which doesn't really make sense. Now, Republicans in the Senate and in Congress, primarily Senator Cassidy down in Louisiana, who's a doctor, Senator Rick Scott, the guy who defrauded Medicaid and Medicare when he ran a hospital system down in Florida. Huge, right? Huge fraudster. Ron Johnson's been talking about this. Mike Johnson's been talking about it. They're saying this is a dream of theirs for years. Like, get rid of those subsidies. Just give people the money, stick it in a health savings account. It's basically a healthcare IRA. You give it to people. Now you can go and just buy the healthcare you need. You know, the problem is if you don't have insurance and you are having chest pain, I mean, are you like just dialing through the yellow pages? You're dialing through, going on Google, cheapest place for a heart attack, right? Or you're having appendicitis, cheapest place for an appendectomy. And am I gonna drive 2 hours? I might die, but boy, it'll be a third the price. So
maybe it's worth the risk. It's just people don't. It's not a market. It's not like you're going to buy sneakers or bread. You don't. It's healthcare.
Well, even things you can, like my wife needed an MRI and she had some time, right? It was going to be in the next few weeks or so. I spent 2 hours on our computer going through the portal of our insurance company, finding the distance versus price and rebates and all that to find the place she could get an MRI of her back. That was the best deal for us. And like, I've been a doctor for almost 30 years, right? She is the same thing. And like navigating that was complex. Like if someone working multiple jobs, taking care of their kids, my kids are grown. Like we don't have to, make lunches for my kids for school. When you're doing all those things, then now you're expected to go on and spend several hours and you need an advanced degree and like some big algorithm to figure out where the hell to get your MRI. Like it's not reality. These guys don't get it. They don't get it. And they get healthcare, right? We pay for their healthcare.
Oh, well, yeah. It's one thing to find a physician or get a test or a treatment like that. You're talking, oh, by the way, without revealing it, do you think your wife knew why she needed an MRI? Because Trump said he didn't know why he needed an MRI. My understanding is, by the way, I've never had an MRI, but most people I know have. And my understanding is when you have to get an MRI and you're not quite sure what's there, it's because they're not quite sure what's going on. So like the 2 weeks or however long you wait before it's prescribed, you have to get an MRI, and the time is fucking real angst ridden because you're totally worried about a tumor. So the only thing you're thinking about is that MRI. So when you're asked, do you know what that MRI was for? And you say, I don't know. That would have to be I think that's a lie.
I think that's a problem. I've tried not to opine on the health conditions of our president, but that seems concerning, right? Either genuinely you don't know, or you do know and you don't want us to know. Either way, that's a real concerning spot for us to be in with him in charge.
The point, though, is it's tough to navigate to find a treatment, much less a doctor, but it's also tough to navigate even if you're on the individual market and you're getting your insurance that way. I remember my ex-wife when she first signed us up for the exchanges when we were both first independent contractors, she said, I started crying, and this is a woman that doesn't get too emotional like that. And she goes, and I started thinking about, what if you didn't speak English? Like, she's like, I have a master's degree, and this was really hard to navigate this. And there's all kinds of different organizations that try to help you do that now, but still, it's a real tough thing to navigate no matter who you are. It's like parking in New York City. How can we possibly understand these regulations? There's signs all the way down to Post. I don't know if I can park here or not. Okay, sorry. I just wanted my picadillos. So what's being proposed by Republicans is what?
Well, it depends, right? Some amount of cash. We don't know what that is, that they want to give to people because suddenly Republicans are concerned about all the profits insurance companies are making. Never mind the executives of these insurance companies making 20, $30 million a year, just got a big tax cut from these guys, right? Never mind, they protect these insurance companies. They take money from the insurance companies every single election cycle and then do their bidding. Somehow, all of a sudden now, with 6 weeks left before they fall off the millions of Americans fall off this cliff and lose their health insurance, that's what they're all crying about. I agree. Like they make way too much profit. Yes, let's fix it. The problem is we got 6 weeks, right? People are facing a crisis. We need to just throw the people a lifeline, give them a year or 2 years, some kind of extension so they can afford the insurance. And then, yes, Republicans, Democrats, get together and figure it out. The Affordable Care Act was a step, right, toward getting universal health care. It was not the end. No one proposed that it was. Now, it was better when it was passed than it is now because of Republicans. And I hate to be ultra partisan, but it is true. They got rid of the individual mandate so that younger, healthier people can just opt out. The problem is with insurance, you have to pool everyone together. When all the young, healthy people just sort of bow out of the system, now you have a bigger group of people that are sicker, that cost more money, then insurance rates go up. When
There's
you take
a name for that when it happens, if I'm not mistaken.
the risk pools, yeah.
Well, the
Oh, go
risk
ahead. Yeah,
pools, the risk pools are what we're talking about. How insurance rates.
yeah.
There's something called a death spiral for
Oh,
rate.
yeah.
Right? Meaning that the older, sicker people are on, the younger, healthier people are off. That creates they call a death spiral in terms of the rates just go skyrocketing. And so for the guy watching us on YouTube that calls us two liberal retards talking about this, I highly recommend that you look into how these things work. It's really not liberal and conservative. In a lot of ways, it's actually just economics, if you want to talk about it that way, when it comes to insurance, which is why, specifically when it comes to insurance, which is why Medicare exists, really, which is supposed to take the older, sicker people. Obviously, I can't even imagine America without Medicare, by the way.
Not that long ago.
So also the same guy or woman, I don't know, it says the Affordable Care Act increased the price of the insurance to every single one of my family members by at least 100%. No, nonsense. Don't believe it. First of all, just to say, I don't believe it, but let's take him at his word. What would it have been without Affordable Care? I think people forget that too. Oh, the war on poverty didn't work. Really? Without the war on poverty, do you know how much more poor we'd be, etc.? Thoughts?
Yeah, it's and that's hard, right? It's hard to put on a bumper sticker, hard to put on a sign you carry around. Obamacare, we decrease the rate of increase of insurance, but that is true, right? Insurance is increasing at a certain amount.
Yep.
And with it, I mean, and I was just listening to a podcast where people were involved in that rollout, and they used to talk about the term bending the cost curve, which means nothing to anybody, right? It's a gobbledygook statement, but it is a real thing, right? Like you take I'm kind of doing like the rates are going up like this, and you do it like this. They're still going up, right? Again, I am not here to defend the current state of American healthcare, health insurance. I think is terrible. I mean, the unholy trinity of big hospitals that are increasingly owned by private equity, of big pharma and insurance companies. Like those, that's healthcare. That's what's broken, and each one of those pieces needs to be fixed. And it's unserious for the Republicans, again, 6 weeks out, to say, well, we know how to fix all this problem. We're just going to get rid of those subsidies. Screw you, 4 million people. We'll give everyone a check. And then we'll just further this death spiral. They say it. They say the quiet part out loud that, they want to kill Obamacare. They just weren't able to do it by votes. They'll do it by the death spiral. This is their plan.
The truth, I think that we both know, and if anybody, including our critic watching on YouTube, is thinking about it. The truth is they don't want to kill Obamacare. The truth is they know that if you give somebody something, in this case, affordable health insurance, including their constituents all over red state America, and then
Yeah.
you take it away from them, you will not get reelected, which is why
Right.
they haven't repealed and replaced Obamacare. There's a reason why the
Yeah.
first term when Trump was in office in that nightmare that we thought had ended with Republican majorities, that they couldn't do it, that they
Yeah.
couldn't do it. And that's the same reason now. So I ask you about the hospital situation. You are an ER doctor, you work in hospitals. And one of
Yeah.
the issues that a lot of people are raising is that the cuts to Medicaid are going to close hospitals. Now, the ripple effect that that has on a local economy is, I guess, not that important. The fact that people are going to have a hospital would
Yeah.
seem to be pretty important. And AOC went on and made this video, and she said, I took a Republican colleague of mine aside and said, what about the hospitals that are going to close in your district? And he said, I don't believe it. I don't believe they
Wow.
will. Now, my question would be, I'm sure that those hospital administrators are talking to their congressman, and I'm
They
sure
are.
they have direct access because they're a huge employer and they're a fucking hospital. And they're
Yeah.
saying, this is how we get paid. You're saying we
Yeah.
can't get paid that way. That means we can't take care of people. No. So what is the truth about hospitals closing to Medicaid or any other of these types of cuts being proposed?
Yeah, I mean, with the big $1 trillion cuts in Medicaid, there's estimated hundreds. I don't remember how many hundreds, several hundred hospitals, particularly rural, mostly rural hospitals, are going to close. There's already a hospital, I believe, in Curtis, Oklahoma, that announced several months ago, right after it passed, that they're going to be closing, and they cited it. Even though these cuts don't happen for a few years, they're like, yeah, we build our budgets out 5 years. Like we see that coming. We see that funding go down, and we can't stay afloat, right? Or like you can't expand services in the thing. And you may not close the whole hospital. You may lose labor and delivery. So now if you're going to have a baby, you got to go an hour away. You may lose your outpatient lab. You may lose outpatient x-ray, right? The services, you may not get specialists that come there. So now people got to drive all over the place to get the care that they need. And eventually you lose the whole hospital. And like you said, that's the whole community. It's not just people on Medicaid that lose that hospital. It's people who get insurance through their work. It's people on Medicare. Hospital goes away for everyone. And the problem is it doesn't come back just because we get a new set of people in Washington who can, refund things, who can reset it, who can help fix the broken system and get money back into these communities. Once the hospital leaves, those people will have to go somewhere else and find jobs, right? They're not just going to wait around for the political fortunes to change, and then they all of a sudden they'll have a job. Because that's like generational. Like that's I mean, I'm, personally, again, where I work, the people I've served for 20 some odd years, like that's pretty terrifying to think those folks will have to go without.
Rob, I know our time is up, and I hate it. I love talking to you. I learn a lot from talking to you. Open mic here on the end. Anything else that you think is imminent that we haven't covered or discussed? I saw this ProPublica piece. I don't know if you saw this investigation about the effect of outlawing abortion in states like Texas and what that has actually meant for women who want to terminate their pregnancy. It's heartbreaking because as predicted, women are dying. I don't know if you saw that. If you have any thoughts about that or anything else.
Yeah, I mean, related to that, we were told when Dobbs' decision came out, when Roe v. Wade fell, that this was a good thing, right? You're going to let the states decide. Let the states decide. Like personally, that is a terrible thing because it shouldn't depend on what state you live in that you have basic healthcare access, which abortion care, reproductive health care is. They're now going after the abortion pill everywhere. They're not just going after it in red states with red state legislatures. They're going after it federally. The FDA is reviewing it. RFK Jr. has said they're reviewing it. Marty Makary, who's the FDA guy, he's reviewing it. It's pretty scary. I mean, I know as a group, our organization is making sure people understand this, that they're going after people's ability to have safe, completely, everything has some complications, but safe, proven safe for decades. They're trying to say there's something wrong with this pill, that it's dangerous. It's safer than Viagra, safer than aspirin when you look at the actual side effect profile of these drugs. And you've got guys like Josh Hawley in Missouri waving around fake studies saying it isn't safe. Again, just like that update on CDC about autism and vaccines, they don't really care about what actual data says. They care about their dogma and what they believe, and then they craft documents to fit what they believe and try to shove them down people's throats and call it science, call it data.
That's yeah.
That's pretty scary, and that should be scary for everyone. I don't care who you vote for. That should be
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
scary.
That's why it's important to talk to people like you. It's, I mean, I guess, yeah, it's crazy. When they outlawed abortion, there was, we didn't, I think, account for the fact that it's not 1979. That wasn't the only way to terminate a pregnancy, a safe way. Of course, women, coat hangers, we all know the nightmarish stories. But now, when they outlawed abortion, it wasn't going to be as bad, we thought, because of the pills that are available. And, those are easy to get to people in these states that want to turn into Gilead. But you're saying, I didn't realize that there was such a overt lobbying attempt to get rid of the medications that are much safer and easier and accessible and affordable.
Yeah. Well, Pete, I'll tell for you and for people listening and watching, check out the last episode of Paging America. This week's episode just dropped, I think, yesterday or the day before. And I interviewed a political reporter who's been she did some stuff on RFK and the political ramifications. It's interesting, but she's been doing a lot of reporting on mifepristone and the attacks on mifepristone. And so it was enlightening for me, things I didn't know, and you kind of keep an eye on that space, because that is their plan, right? Their plan was never to let it be to this stage. Their plan and their goal is to make abortion illegal.
Well, I will
and
finish
unavailable.
Yeah, exactly. I'll finish where I started by talking about tech issues, because what I will offer is, if I can get the audio of that interview, I'll tag it for listeners of the podcast, and I'll add that as a way to promote Page in America, which everybody should go subscribe to right now, because obviously it's great for me to have Rob on and talk to him, but you can go direct to the source. Plus, you can get to see him interviewing other experts in healthcare, which is super, super helpful and informative. You're doing very, very important work both in the ER and here, and it's a public service, what you're doing as well. And apparently in your marriage. Congratulations. That sounds very impressive.
All right. And most of it's on her. I'm just a bystander.
Well, with that attitude, I guess it keeps a healthy marriage. Thank you very much. Appreciate you as always, Rob. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks everybody for watching live. And I am hitting end. I think I'm hitting end.